So time check for you now, just on 1 minute to go until we start loading the gates with the first heat. It is the first time that the UCI BMX Supercross World Cup has come to Sarasota. It's great to be here. It's the final stop of the 2016 UCI Bicycle Motocross World Tour.
Riders ready, watch the gate.
Welcome to round number 5 of the UCI BMX Supercross World Cup Tour. I'm Pete Dylweski. Today we have a special guest with us. As always, we have Dr. Jason Richardson who's joining us, but we have what is the most incredible rider at the time, Olympic gold medalist in Rio, Connor Fields. He's going to be joining in today with Jason. They're going to be giving you the commentary for the racing here. Connor, welcome to the booth.
Yeah, thanks, Pete. I'm happy to be here, and I'm excited to see some great BMX Supercross action.
So we're going to have the elite men's and the elite women's qualifying rounds. Just about the same amount of races last weekend. 10 motos for the elite men, 3 motos for the elite women. They're the ones that are going to try to transfer on to tomorrow's show, the main event. And then later on this afternoon, we will have those super final time trials. Interesting to see it. So it'll be good to get your perspective, Connor. Usually on behind the gate. Today you're behind the monitor.
Yeah, I'm excited to watch and enjoy BMX racing from a different perspective, rather than being out there, being able to be behind the microphone and dissect some of this racing along with Dr. Jason Richardson and yourself, Pete. So I'm excited and I'm looking forward to it.
So a beautiful track here in Sarasota. The first time we've been here for a Supercross event. They just finished the track a little bit earlier this season. A lot of riders have been out here testing the track, so it should be some good racing. Yesterday we had the tail end of Hurricane Matthew come through. Practice was postponed until earlier today. The riders have had 2 rounds of practice out on that gate, but today the weather's nice if you like heat and humidity, Connor.
Yeah, we got lucky. We dodged a bullet with the whole hurricane. It just missed where we are in Florida. So yesterday practice was canceled, like you said. Today there's a little bit of wind, as you can see from the flags, but it's not going to affect racing in any way. We're here, we're racing, and the track's great. This track looks awesome. I'm actually kind of wishing I had my bike to ride a little bit. So looking forward to seeing some good race action.
And then on top of that, it's the World Cup final, so we will have champions crowned in each of the elite men and elite women's classes for tomorrow. Basically on the elite women's side, we love to have that drama and everything coming into the race, but Laura Smulders just basically has to not get disqualified as she rides through the racing. And then on the men's side, there's still a little bit of battle between Corbin Straw and David Graff, so it's going to be a battle between the 2 of those. So we'll see. There's interesting battles in the women's class for 2nd and 3rd overall. Actually, Caroline Buchanan sits 2nd in points, but she's not here. So the 2 riders behind her are Simone Christensen and then Brooke Crane. They're trying to both catapult past and see if they can get that score. So it'd be interesting to see, like I said. So on this track, Connor, how would you rate it as on the technicality aspect?
Well, and before we get into this, I think it's worth mentioning that there is a special prize up for the time trials tonight. They are offering a cash prize to the winners of the time trial. So I think those time trials are going to be really exciting today because there's some serious dough on the line here, Pete, and these guys are going to be going for that.
And I know everyone's saddened by it, but this is the last time, especially you, Connor. I mean, I know it's a special place in your heart. 2-time time trial world champion, but this is the last time we'll have the time trials at the very least at the World Cups. It may be removed from the World Championships as well, but tonight, as you said, on our later second half of the show, we'll have the super final time trials. Those riders will be racing for money as well as the prestige of being the champion of the day. So as we get through it, I'm going to hand things off to Jason and Connor. Hopefully Connor doesn't fall off his shaky little stool that we have here. But in our luxury accommodations, we don't have a GoPro pointing on us, but we are in a motorhome. We've got, we've been upgraded a little bit from usually the little sheds in the back. But so Connor, interesting to see yours and Jason's aspect on the race. I'll be at the finish line trying to get some words out of our riders of the day, see how things go. But good luck, guys, and have fun with that.
Thanks, Pete. So we are looking at the track here from the finish line area. Track looks pretty good, Jason. You know, it's that classic Florida red clay, you know, big banked asphalt turns, you know, and it's a classic M shape, which, as we saw on Rock Hill last weekend, leads to some good racing. And here we have Corbin Schra.
Corbin Schra, our points leader, and from what I understand, all he has to do, easier said than done, of course, is make the main to keep his points lead. And as we know, and as you know, Connor, in Supercross, anything can happen. You know, Corbin had a great season so far with 2 first places, one at the beginning of the season in Santiago del Estero in Argentina, and then again last weekend in Rock Hill. And like it says, wins if he reaches the final. So what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think he's just going to focus on doing the same thing he's done at the first 4 rounds, and that's just racing his best, you know. And
right.
if he does that, then he should make the final. And with that said, we move on to Run 1, Heat number 1. Introduce us.
Run 1, Heat 1, Palmer, Gustafson, Peebles, Villegas, DuPont, McCrory, and Wolk. A lot of new faces in here. Peebles is a mainstay, McCrory a mainstay on the USA BMX circuit. The rest of these guys.
Well, James Palmer was in the main event last weekend in Rock Hill.
That's right.
First main event.
First main event. So he's running on. He's running hot right now. So let's see how they go. Looks like they're off to a clean start. McCrory from the outside, but I'm going to have to say Villegas bringing up the front, jumping into that first corner, over jumping a bit. So it's Villegas, Palmer, McCrory, 1, 2, and 3 as they head into the second turn. It's quite technical second straightaway with that double and that triple heading in. What do you say, Connor, as they head out?
Yeah, Villegas out in front doing it for the Argentinian national team, and I think Argentina is one of the countries that has stepped up the most over the last few years. Palmer from Canada on his Yes BMX ride in the 2 spot. Peebles in the 3. Looks like Palmer's going to challenge down to the line. Looks like it's going to be a photo finish with Wolk from Denmark in for the 3. It looks like McRory might have had some troubles there. He was sitting in a top 4 position. We'll have to see what happened there.
That might be interesting. I saw McCrory during practice. He was checking his chain literally, so there could be a mechanical there. And Peebles, you know, he was talking to me earlier during practice, and he says, I just want to get to the front of my bike so I can get to the line. Looks like he got a 4th. So the official Run 1, Heat 1, Palmer, Villegas, Wolk, Peebles, DuPont, Gustafson, and McCrory. That is a tough motor, as Gustafson's a hard hitter as well. So Run 1, Heat 2, Elite Men. We have Butti, Christensen, McConey, Chappelle, Calixto, Agudelo, and Munera. So
3 Colombians.
A strong Colombian contingent for sure. We know the Colombians are strong finishers. They train at altitude by default. It's just by logistics, and let's see how their start goes. They're off down the hill. Seems like a Colombian in front, but Christensen just goes straight to the front. 3 of them leaping into the first turn over that triple. We have Christensen, Calixto, and Chappelle, 1, 2, and 3, over double pumping into over that second straightaway. Oh. One guy hits the triple into the second turn. What do you see, Connor?
That's a new line we haven't seen yet on that triple. It's Christensen from Denmark. Whoa, he's got some trouble there. Coming up short in the manual. He's going to get passed by Calixto, and like you said, the Colombians are strong finishers, losing the Swiss rider down in the last turn. Christensen, he started strong, but he's really had some trouble, but it looks like he's going to hold on for that 2 spot with Calixto from Colombia going to take over the 1. And Christensen, that's actually Simone Christensen's brother. So that's a BMX racing family there in Denmark.
That is, and I know they work pretty hard. You know, to go from first to second, I know Christensen was sweating bullets when he messed up, because, you know, that first moto, you always want to start out with a strong finish, and so I'm sure he's happy, all things considered, to get the official second place with Calixto in first, Chappelle in third, Agudelo in fourth. McConey, Munera, and Butti will definitely have to step it up the next round.
Yeah, and sometimes that first one, you got some of those nerves, and it's easier once you get that one out of the way.
For sure. You definitely want to get the first one out of the way, like these guys do. Run 1, Heat 3, Van Kamen, Webster, Aguirre, Sakakibara, that's such a fun name to say, Gonzalez, Tanager, and Van Gent.
I'm looking for Van Gent here, Jay Rich.
You took my line. I was going to say the same thing. Van Gent has been strong down the first straight. However, we can't count out Sakakibara. He had some strong showings in the motos in the early rounds last weekend, and his sister got second in Elite Women, so we know it runs in the blood. So Van Gent coming from the outside with that Red Bull helmet, just a commanding lead from the first jump. Already a bike length ahead. 3 guys jumping into the first turn. Sakakibara looks like he got held up a little bit on the outside, maintains his third. Van Gent running away with it with a commanding lead. Let's see, he will jump into the second turn with Van Kamen in second and Sakakibara in third. Connor, what do you see?
Yeah, that's Van Gent in the Red Bull helmet out in front. You know, he's doing it for that Dutch Army led by Bas de Bever. And in 2 is Van Kamen. So we got a little bit of a generation gap here. Van Gent was born 1992. He's my age. And then Van Kamen's about 5 or 6 years younger, along with Sakakibara, a couple of the younger guys. But the old bull, Van Gent, he's going to take care of that moto, and he's looking to move on. He's got his sights set on that main event tomorrow.
95 is old?
That's ancient compared to you, man. I mean, where were you, like 75?
I'm 74, which, by the way, as you see this beautiful track, you were talking about the red clay, the original track director, Irma Miller, was telling me that a lot of the original dirt from 1974 is in this surface right now.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Definitely. So there we go. That's how we bring that conversation full circle. That's vintage right there. And I think we might have had a photo finish, as we do not see the official results come up just yet. But definitely a beautiful day, as you can see here. Clouds sparsely populating the skyline. The official results: Tuan Van Gent, Zach Van Kamen, Sakakibara in third, and Webster in fourth. Tanager, Gonzalez, and Aguirre definitely, you know what I'm going to say, have to step it up next round.
Yeah, Van Kamen was impressive there, as well as in Rock Hill. So I look for him to challenge to try to make it into those knockout rounds tomorrow.
Yes, for sure. Run 1, Heat 4, we have Aguirre, Ezekiel, Tizar, Rock and Roll Cole, Tizar, Shippers, McLean, Dumont, and Fleming. Who would you be your favorite in this one, Connor?
You know, anytime there's somebody with that orange Holland jersey in there, you got to keep an eye out for them. You know, that Dutch Army, they seem to breed champions out there in Holland and Papendal.
Yes, the Dutch Clone Army and Bas de Bever, they do a good job getting their riders ready. As these guys are off, although it seems like that Dutch clone, that orange jersey, is squeezed into fourth. Looks like Rock and Roll Cole Tizar just blasted out the first turn in first, with Ezekiel in second, and now we see that Dutch jersey coming up in third. Tizar, Ezekiel, and Shippers. Connor.
Yeah, Cole, he's been, you know, pushing out the Supercross stuff for the last few years and getting better and better each race, and you know, he's looking really strong here. He had a great start. He was, you know, a bike length ahead at the end of that first jump, and he's going to cruise on in for the win there. That'll be good for his confidence, and looks like the Brazilian rider Ezekiel, he's going to take the second spot. He was actually injured earlier this year, so it's good to see him back, and we'll look for your official results. That'll be Tizar, Ezekiel, Demont, Shippers, McLean, Aguirre, and Fleming. You know, and top threes, that'll guarantee you win all day. You know, Josh, that's what you're looking for.
Top threes. C's get degrees in college, and top threes will get you in the main, but there's only one gold medal spot, isn't there? So, run 1, heat 5, Bias, Mercader, Whitfield, Van Gorkum, Montenegro, Santiago Marin, and Komarov. And I know Komarov is going to be coming strong down that first straight.
Oh, yeah.
He has a lot of heat.
Komarov's really strong starter, but I'm interested to watch the battle between him, Van Gorkum, the Olympic silver medalist, and also Santiago Marin, who impressed last weekend before an unfortunate crash. This will be a fun one to watch, Rich.
Komarov looks like he's off to a good start. His wheel was up a bit, but man, he looks like he has a bit of an advantage. Van Gorkum's going to stick his nose in there in the first turn. As ever, the silver medalist, calm, cool, and collected. He's taken in there, but Komarov just has a nice line coming out of that first turn. Meanwhile, Sebasta looks like
that's Marin.
That's Marin making the move. Go ahead, Connor. This is your moto.
Marin went out into that first corner in 5th place, and he's challenging for the lead now. He's a great bike rider. Look for the high-low here in this turn. The Colombian, you know, really challenging Komarov, the Russian, here down to the finish line. Marin was sitting in a qualifying spot last weekend in the quarterfinal, had an unfortunate crash, so he's going to be looking to, you know, come back strong this weekend and prove that was no fluke, and that he can find his way back into those knockout rounds and,
for sure, and
in that main event. I'm not sure what happened to Van Gorkum there.
That was a tough moto. I think you have a lot of evenly matched riders in a lot of different ways. You have a power guy, you have a solid guy who's kind of a good all-arounder, you have a skills guy, and so there was a lot of movement moving around, but official results would be Marin, Komarov, Van Gorka, Montenegro, Bias, Whitfield, and Mercader. And Whitfield struggling a little bit with this Supercross. He's known in the USA as a skills track guy, but been struggling with the Supercross. So on to Heat 6 during these first round motors. We have Bernhardt, Bensing, Sebesta, Sinma, Kronk, Rios, and Webster.
I'm looking for Bensing here as well as Sebesta. Sebesta, he's been on the Supercross circuit for a couple of years, and he's got the hang of it. And Bensing from that Dutch Army, I mean, his dad builds gates, so you would expect him that he would have a good start.
Yeah, whether it's a pro gate or Bensing gate,
you know,
he's definitely had his fair share of gate starts. Coming down the hill, we see Bensing had a decent start on the outside, but I see Sebesta poking his nose in there, jumping into the first turn with a little bit of style, no less, on that Stay Strong. So we have Sebesta, Kronk, and Sinmar, 1, 2, 3 down the second technical straightaway. Sebesta had a little lock-legged in that second straightaway, but still hopping into the second turn in first.
Yeah, you know, sometimes what happens is that first time you're in a race lap, you just go a little bit quicker than you've been going in practice, and that's what might have happened to, they call him T-Bone, Tanner Sebesta out in front on his Stay Strong with Kronk out of Australia in the 2 spot. Looks like the Dutch rider Bensink is going to cruise it in for the 3 there, and Liam Webster from Germany, he was not so hot that lap. He's going to look to pick it up over these next couple and see if he can.
Yeah, we have Sebesta, Kronk, Bensink, Bernhardt, Rios, Webster, and Sinma. You know, the Germans kind of been hot and cold these past 8 years. You know, one guy's really hot, the next not so much. So they're working on their talent pool. Heat number 7, Pacheco, Borja, Shippers, White, Zuleta, Fala, and Santoni. This is another interesting. Fala is 30 years old. He's been on the circuit for a long time, a lot of experience.
Yep. He's got a great start.
Yeah, great start. Meanwhile, Trey White, he can be hot and cold, but when he's on, his first straights are really great. The gate drops. Who wants it? Who needs it? Looks like Trey White straight to the front. Sometimes he rides a little locked up, but not today, not now. A little bit of a case into the first corner, but his lead is strong enough that he's able to keep it. He's coming out of the first turn nicely. A little bit of an overjump. I think that there's a tailwind down that second straightaway. Fala looking for that second place position in the second corner. What did you see?
Yeah, Fala was looking to take over that second spot and bumped, and it looked like it slowed him down enough to get past 1, 2, looks like 3 times. But yeah, Trey White out in front. You know, he's looked really strong in these qualification motos all year long, and you know, for him, he's looking to have that breakthrough and try to. He's made a final before in Manchester, but he's looking to make his first final, you know, away from home on a big outdoor track. So, you know, this is his last opportunity for the year. So I'm sure he's really, you know, he wants it. He wants it bad. Yeah,
British champion. I think his best finish was a second place in Elite Men in Rotterdam. But the official for this moto is White, Fantoni, Shippers, Zuleta, Fala, Borja, and Pacheco. Fala is definitely disappointed going from second to fifth, because every point counts in these qualifying motos. On to Heat 8.
Good luck with that. How do you say that first one?
Inkok Song from Thailand. Come on. Rojas, Seegers, Sean Gaines, San Diego, Vady, Green, Hughes, and Keeman. This is a full rack. Some of the motos only had 7 or 6 guys, so anytime you put more guys on the gate, there's less room down the first straightaway. I know these guys will be feeling a little bit more pressure and a little bit more crowded down the first straight. Oh, looks like Keeman comes out of his pedals, Gaines straight to the front. This will be a good run for him if he can maintain that front position. Jumping into that first corner, Gaines, Hughes, and Seegers coming out. Gaines with a case, and now he has to stretch it out. Saves it.
Wow.
Still for the first place. We don't know how he did that. Nice, cool, and collected. Connor, you look like you're having fun watching
this
one.
Yeah. Sean's a good buddy of mine, and that was an awesome save. You know, he looked like he got a bit weird into the first turn, and it just continued out of it. But he kept it on 2 wheels, which ultimately is the biggest thing, and he's going to cruise it on in for the win. He's just happy and relieved to get that lap out of the way. It actually looks like Walter Seegers from Belgium for that TVE BMX team, he got gain at the line, but Shawnee's happy with the second because it could have been a lot worse than that.
That could have been a hospital visit for sure.
That could have been bad. You know, it's a good save there out of Gain.
So official is Seegers from Belgium, then Gain, Green, Vidi, Hughes, Inkok Song, strong finish from Thailand, Keeman, and Rojas.
So I wonder if Neek's going to be be sending Justin some messages and telling him to pick it up on these next couple of rounds.
Like, you got to keep the family name strong.
Yeah, shout out to Nick back home in Holland.
Harvey, Mir, Ruse, Arbordella, Collins, Vanden Grolendal, Smith, and Messner. Amadou Mir did not go to Rock Hill. He had a slight injury from the Olympics, so he sat last week out. But I'm going to look for Mir and Collins, and then Smith was surprisingly fast last week and showing strong as well. So this ought to be an interesting moto.
I'm looking for Mir. He's got one of the best starts in the game, so it'll be interesting to see how he's doing after Rio.
Someone got dusted off the back. I don't know who that was, but Collins went straight to the front like a bullet on his carbon Speedco frame. Has a funny line going into the first corner. He rolled, jumped instead of jumping the whole thing, but still manages to maintain the lead. Looks like Smith is jumping into the second. Mir a little stiff-legged in that second straightaway. Seems like he's still a little rusty. He's looking down. I think something happened.
Yeah, Collins jumping up onto that rhythm section. He's looking really strong here on that Speedco. Logan Collins, originally from Tennessee, now living out in California. Jeremy Smith on the extreme ride, challenging him down the line, but it looks like they're going to safely just take the 1 and 2. Not sure what happened to Mir there. You see him crossing the finish line there in the French national champion jersey. You know, maybe he's been relaxing a bit too much since the Olympics, or maybe that was just a bad lap. So we'll have to wait till the second round to see how Amadou responds to.
Yeah, that was interesting. He seemed like he got a little crazy in that second straightaway, managed to save it, but then in the second corner, I saw that he looked down as if something might have happened to his bike or his pedal or something, but you never know.
We'll see when he comes back out for that second round, you know. Hopefully if it was just mechanical, he can get it fixed, and he can come back out and get a couple of top 2, top 3 finishes and advance to tomorrow's main event.
Well, Amadou is no stranger to making the mains. He's a wild dude. I've seen him on and off the track.
He's a great guy.
I wouldn't be surprised if he gets in that.
He's a great dancer, by the way.
He's good.
He is a good dancer.
Meanwhile, the official result is Collins, Smith, Harvey, Arbordella, and Gronendal, and Amadou Mir with the 6. So on to heat number 10, the final moto of the first run. Kriegers, Homsch, Lacombe, Maniton, Marquardt, Tehico, Palominos, and Rosa. Now, Tehico had a good showing last week in Rock Hill, looking strong. Kriegers, Lacombe on that special size bike, what's called an OS20, so his wheels are just a bit bigger than everyone else.
Yeah, they found a loophole in the rule book where you can have up to 21.5-inch wheels, and they count as 20-inch wheels.
Yeah, and it makes sense because he's 6'5".
Yeah, I mean, it makes perfect sense.
But I don't know if it makes sense off the start, as he has more wheel to get around. It looks like Krieger's straight to the front, the Latvian jumping into the first corner, looking kind of nice.
Oh, right her down.
We have an Australian go down. I'm not sure if that's Tehico, but we have Krieger's in the front, heading into the second turn very strongly, with an Australian in third, Krieger's, Maniton, and Rosa.
Yeah, Krieger's on the Latvian national team. He's wearing the Latvian national champion jersey out in front, and a lot of guys like to call this guy Mini Maris, and he's looking like it right now. And strong into that last straightaway will be Krieger's coming into that finish line. He'll be happy with that. Always good to start the day with a win. Curtis Maniton from England, he's going to be cruising in for the second, and Rosa out of Australia on that BMXA Academy team for the 3.
And Tehico looks like he's just getting himself through the rhythm section after that tumble in the first corner. So Mini Maris, huh? How about the Mini Machine?
The Mini Machine?
Is that what they call him?
Yeah, he does that. You know, when Maris is in the gate, he does that roll of his wrists.
Oh, roll of the wrist.
Krieger's does the same thing.
As we see Tehico crossing the line, you definitely want to cross the line, because if you don't finish, I think it might
last +2.
It's a last +2. So like we say, every point counts. Official: Kriegers, Maniton, Rosa, Marquardt, Holmes, Palominos, Lacombe, and Tehico.
A lot of Aussies.
A lot of Aussies. Strong Australian contingent. None of the high performance team here. A lot of the younger riders getting their feet wet in Supercross, so it's nice to see. All right, on to run 1, heat 1 of elite women. Thorley, Shriver, Fleming, Reno, and Sakakibara, who had a strong showing in Rock Hill with a second-place finish last weekend.
So, Jason, there's only 5 girls here. So how do you think that's going to affect the racing with less girls out on the track?
Less girls on the track? Well, you definitely want to be top 3.
Yeah, the cutoff is going to be a low number for these girls.
Cutoff's going to be a low number, so this will definitely shake things up points-wise. They have the whole track to operate.
And out of turn 1, they're going to be taking a left-hand turn instead of a right-hand turn like the men.
That's correct. All of them over the first jump quite well. Sakakibara on the outside. Looks like Shriver straight to the front. She had a crash in practice. I saw her limping. She doesn't seem to be limping now. She goes a little bit wide. Sakakibara tries to cut under, but it looks like Shriver just had the momentum, and she is just going for it in that second corner.
Yeah, and so the difference here is these top 3 girls, they jumped the second straightaway, or the second jump in the first straightaway, so that's what gave them that lead. So we've got the Aussie challenging the Brit into the final turn. Looks like Shriver is going to hold on to it, but a good high-low there from Sakakibara. She is looking to prove that second place last weekend was no fluke. She'll settle it in for that 2 spot. Looks like Reno is going to get passed by Fleming there at the line, and that 1 point could be the difference, Jason. Every point matters.
It could be the difference. So if you figure, so we have Shriver, Sakakibara, Fleming, Reno, and Thorley. So if you figure 12 points-ish will make it out of all after 3 rounds, but really with that least amount of riders, you want to be going out with 9 points or less. Next moto, we have Geving, Priest, Smulders, Escobar, Azuero, and Stavo. Stavo did sit out last weekend. She is an Olympian, so she's definitely good on the bike jumping. Geving in her home state, always a formidable racer and champion in her own right. So this ought to be an interesting lap here. And
Geving is actually a firefighter, Amanda. She just kind of races for fun.
Yeah. I want to be quiet for the start. So they're off. Yes. So Geving is a firefighter, a fighter all the way for sure. She's definitely, Florida has a very strong scene here, very competitive, always putting out a bunch of national riders. And as we see Geving making the move into the second place, coming out of the first turn with that pink bike, catching some air in the second straight even. So
looks
we
like
have
Smulders, though.
Geving, and Stavo.
And that is actually the little sister of Laura Smulders, our series leader. So a lot of brother sisters and sister, it's a family affair out here, Jason.
Yeah, a lot of siblings racing out there.
Yeah, it's pretty cool to see.
Very cool.
So Smulders looks like she's going to cruise it in. She handled this moto, and she's on to the next round. Amanda Geving on that pink bike, that pink yes, she's going to cruise it in for the 2. Brazil, that will be Stavo, the Olympian, in for the 3rd spot. And trouble there for Nadja Priest from Germany. She's going to have to improve on that 6th place finish if she's going to want to move on in the program.
Yes, Azuero and Priest definitely going to want to step it up next time. Smulders, Geving, Stavo, and Escobar top 4. But as we see with a low amount of riders in each gate,
only 4 here.
For instance, in this moto where there's only 4, we have Afrobova, Curtis, Jones, and Walsh. So the worst place someone can get is 4th. That's great, though, going into the next round. But again, it's going to keep points low. So 4th is almost like a 6th in a moto where you have 7 or 8 people in it.
Interesting that they all picked side by side as well here.
That is interesting. But, the girls the women, are very competitive. And I definitely think they're like, I don't know what happened to Jones out of the start. She grabs a handful of break. Looks like the top 3 jump over the first 2 jumps, and they'll pull way ahead of Jones. We have Afrobova, Walsh, and Curtis going through the second straight. The Russian in front, looking comfortable, looking strong. Curtis in second with Walsh in third.
Yeah, the Russian women have really stepped it up here over the last couple of years. They're becoming major players in this World Cup circuit. Looks like the Australian with a strong move around the outside. That is Curtis. She's going to take over that lead. Amelia Walsh out of Canada. She's sitting in third right now. She's looking to challenge for that second spot. But yeah, at the finish line there, it's going to be the Australian Curtis, Afromova, and Walsh 1, 2, and 3. Jones with the 4th place there. Not sure what happened out of the starting gate, and she was unable to make it over that first jump.
Maybe she's saving energy for the next moto.
Maybe she's going to take that 4th and wait until she's got 6 riders in her moto.
Maybe. We'll see. So official. Curtis, Afromova, Walsh, and Jones. Looks like Buccelli and Astudio did not show up for that moto. And there you have it. That's the first round of motos here in Sarasota at the Supercross. Racing continues at 3:55 p.m. I believe Connor and Pete are going to go look for some people to talk to outside. But as you can see, the weather is holding up nicely. Flying here, we were concerned that Hurricane Matthew was going to ruin our race weekend. However, it turns out the weather is better than ever. Sarasota sitting on the west coast of Florida. That would be on the Gulf with the beautiful weather, but as you see, the flags are not even blowing too much. Okay.
Can you count me in?
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Okay, so we're here with Connor Fields, Olympic gold medalist, who today, instead of being on the track, has joined us in the commentary booth with Dr. Jason Richardson. So Connor, we know all about winning the Olympics was great, but how are you having a time today inside calling these races and watching your competitors out here on the Sarasota BMX track?
Yeah, it's pretty fun. It's a different experience. You know, at the core of it all, I just love BMX racing, and you know, normally I'm back here in the team pits, and I'm racing with these guys, but it's fun just to be able to call some of the racing and just enjoy the racing as a fan.
Yeah, unfortunately for me, you're just about as good as this as you are racing, so hopefully I can keep my job. But we're looking forward to seeing you back out on the track. What are your plans for coming back to racing after winning the Olympics?
Yeah, it's been crazy over the last few weeks, but I'm looking forward to getting on the bike here in the next week or so and kind of getting back into the swing of things. I have to get one more surgery on my wrist in December, but yeah, I'm looking forward to, I'll finish out the season here in the States with one more race and then back on the full circuit next season.
Now, I don't know if it's supposed to be a secret, but your wrist was technically broken while you were racing the Olympics, wasn't it?
Yeah, kind of.
So, we all have seen it, but what are those feelings of looking back at it now? It's been about a month of being the Olympic gold champion, only the second one we've had in the elite men class.
Yeah, it was incredible, and the best part about it for me was that I could share that moment with a lot of the people that were able to kind of take part in that journey with me. As I crossed the finish line, I was able to see Jamie's staff, my program director, Sean Dwight, my coach, Trent Jones, my training partner, and then ultimately my dad. Those were the most special moments for me, was just sharing that with those people.
So now sitting back and looking at this racing, do you wish you brought your bike here at Sarasota? Because to me, it looks like a pretty awesome track.
Yeah, actually, this is one of the first times since the games that I've kind of wanted to ride, so I think that's a good sign, wanting to get back out there. This track looks awesome. The first round of motos was great, and look forward to getting back out there.
So as we get into the next round of motos, who's a surprise for you in those first round of motos here, early in the qualification?
Yeah, I gotta say, the most impressive thing I saw that first round of motos was Sean Gaines' save. I mean, he was so close to going down there on that second straightaway, but he held on to it and then went on to win that lap, or get second in that lap. So that was really impressive for me. So I'm looking forward to watching him ride some more.
And I know for you, you're sad about the time trials being gone, but tonight for those super final time trials, what's going to be the key to have a consistent perfect lap like you just did a month ago in Rio?
Yeah, this is the last one ever, and there's some money on the line. So, I look for all 16 of those guys and all 8 of those girls to really kind of put it all out there. And because of that, people are going to make more mistakes because they're going to be trying a bit harder. So I'm looking forward to watching that. I think it's going to be some of the best time trialing we've ever seen. And the biggest thing is, it used to be a few years ago you just didn't make mistakes because there weren't as many riders that could get a clean lap. But nowadays the level is so high, and there's 20 guys that can make a clean lap with no mistakes. So it's not only going to be who can go clean, but it's going to be who can go the fastest.
And so just one racing question. If there's a simple answer to this, which I doubt there is, what's the key to having a consistent day with no mistakes throughout an entire day of racing?
It all starts with the preparation. You got to show up on the race day prepared, and if you're prepared on race day, it's going to show, and if you're unprepared on race day, that's when it's going to show up.
All right, well, hopefully you're prepared a little bit better than I am for the broadcast booth, because the fans seem to really like you. And we appreciate you coming down. We know you've had a busy schedule over the last month, and it's awesome to see you out here supporting BMX.
And Sam, if you're watching back home, we're all rooting for you here, buddy. Get well soon.
So that's Connor Fields, our Olympic gold champion in elite men. We'll go back to racing here in just about 5 minutes.
All right, so there you have it. A little bit of info from Connor Fields on what he sees here in Sarasota with Pete BMX.TV. Don't forget the 315 and Connor Fields in the house. Great to have you here. The Olympic gold medalist at the Rio Olympic Games from the United States of America. What a terrible final it was. We've got just on 5 minutes to go until we get back to the second run here this afternoon. Alright, so you'll see in the second straightaway the post track, Razorback tools, instrumented in the build of this incredible track out in Sarasota. Then of course the Razorback step up here in the second straight. Don't forget, we've got some swag out for you as well. Get across to the official merchandise stand and get fitted there. Budweiser, the beer garden is open, just $5 for the local beer and $6 for craft beer, and of course some of the imports that get across to the beer garden and enjoy the afternoon with us.
But right now, Peebles, McLean, Hughes, McConey, Sinma, Mercader, and Gustafson. Connor, how about you take us down the hill, and I'll go to this. And I'll
All right, let's mix it up
for the crowd.
Yeah,
for the fans.
So round number 2, it's a swing round after the first round. A good run here can guarantee you at least a chance in that third round. Whereas a bad run here after a bad run in the first round, and you're pretty much toast. So the gate's down, and Gustafson on the double cross has a good start there on the outside, but the Australian on the inside, he's jumping up and over that triple, and it looks like that's Hughes. He's going to take over the lead there for that BMX Academy Australia team. Gustafson on the inside, he's looking to challenge back for that lead, but Hughes and Gustafson and Sinma 1, 2, and 3 in and out of turn 2, Jason.
Yeah, Gustafson had a nice start, and he needed that nice start because he did not have a good first moto. People's looking like he wants to make a move. He's been known to be aggressive in the corners, but it looks like we have the Australian in first, Gustafson with the second, Sinma, McLean, and Peebles drops to 5th. He's not going to be pleased with that, but it looks like it's going to be a tight third moto for those guys as they are right on the bubble points-wise.
Yeah, Hughes, Gustafson, Sinma, McLean. Peebles, he's got a 4th in the first round and a 5th there, so he's going to need a top 2, top 3 finish in that next round if the American wants to move on.
That's it as we look at this beautiful track. Next round, Wolk, Palominos, Rock and Roll, Cole, Tizar, Kronk, Webster, Rojas, and Booty. What do you say, Connor?
Yeah, Cole Tizar, he was impressive on that 34 bike in that last run. He had a fantastic start and took control of that lap and just, handled it. So let's see if he can back it up here in round number 2. And now an interesting thing that you can kind of see from this angle, the first straight's got a bit of a turn in it. It reminds me of Rockford for you Americans watching. After the second jump, it kind of turns right before it turns left. So gate pick here is an interesting one. All right, gate is down. It looks like Cole Tizar with another strong start. The young American looking to take the whole shot up and over the triple into turn number 1. Looks like the German had some trouble getting past in the turn, and the Danish rider is going to sneak into the second spot. But Cole Tizar, Cole's looking impressive. Bit of a bonk there, but overall he looks great, Jason.
Yeah, Tizar, Wolk, and Kronk. Tizar is really having a great lag, even with a couple of nose bonks in there. But I think he gets excited and he likes to be out front. So Tizar, Wolk, and Kronk will be bringing us in, barring anything catastrophic. Looks like there'll be a photo to the line. Tizar, Kronk just beating out Wolk, and Booty with the 4th. So Webster and Palominos definitely going to want to turn it very, very up the next round.
As we wait for our confirmation to touch on that gate stuff, it'll be interesting once the semis and mains come around to see how those guys pick.
Yeah.
It looks like Tizar, Kronk, Wolk, Booty, Webster, Palominos, and Martinez. That's how that one's going to go down. Looking forward to the next moto. That is Gonzalez, Ezekiel, Sebesta, Calixto, Romain Tanager from Switzerland, and Ruse.
Interesting lane choices. They've spread themselves out. My guess is they're a little bit more comfortable after first round.
Always good to get, kind of in the rhythm of the race day and get that first one over with. All right, then the gate is down. I'm looking for Sebesta, and he is out, and he is gone already, Jason. What an impressive start there. Out of Texas, Austin, Texas, is Tanner Sebesta on his Stay Strong. Ezekiel from Brazil in the 2 spot there. But Sebesta, he is in control of this race and just running away with it.
Yeah, Sebesta had a nice start. Ezekiel in second. The Colombian Calixto almost killed himself in the second straight. Manages to hold on for the third and is actually catching back up. Strong finisher, but Sebesta has checked out on the Stay Strong, making it look good for the American contingent from Austin, Texas. And he's even shaking his head. Probably the sweat getting to his eyes, but we have Sebesta, Calixto, and Ezekiel Tanager with the 4th.
Speaking of sweat, it's hot out there. Those viewers at home can't see, but it's classic Florida, hot and humid out there.
Yeah, it's more like sweat-o-vision. It's so hot. It is very hot and humid out there. Official is Sebesta, Calixto, Ezekiel Tanager, Gonzalez, Ruz, and Aguirre from Chile.
Yeah, looking for heat number 4. There are 10 of these heats, and we are looking for 48 riders today to join in our already qualified top 16 for the main event tomorrow. Moto number 4, we've got Seegers, Green, White, Montenegro, Marin, Munera, and Fleming. I'm looking forward to watching the battle here. I'm looking for Trey White versus Santiago Marin here. You know, White, he's a strong starter, but Marin, he's got some crazy skills and some crazy track speed, so this is going to be a good one to watch here.
Meanwhile, the Argentinian contingent coming on strong. Montenegro, you never know if you're going to see the powerful first straightaway or the crazy carves in the corners, but either way, this is definitely a good mix of riders here.
All right, gate is down, and Trey White, Team GB, out in front right now. He is a bit of a case there, but he's going to hang on to that lead. And just like we called, it's Marin in the 2 spot. So keep your eyes on Marin. You know, he's one of the most dangerous guys out on the track, and you definitely would not want him behind you. Jumping into the second turn, though, Trey White, he's actually extended his lead. Marin in the 2, and the Argentinian into the 3.
Yeah, and Montenegro, yes, Montenegro in 3, a little mess up down the third straight, but Trey White, Santiago Marin 1 and 2, holding strong. Marin might be challenging him. He says, no, I'm good with second. Trey White, Marin, Montenegro, and Green. In my opinion, I think Trey White's going to want to jump into that first turn rather than pick up jump.
Yeah, he came up short in the second one there, and I think it threw him off a little bit. You know, in that first moto, he jumped that triple, and whenever there's a big jump like that, you know, when you land, you get that speed from that backside. So, you know, that's a big, important thing to do.
So official for Heat 4, White, Marin, Montenegro, Green, Seegers, Fleming, and Munera. Yes, Trey did have a bit of a hiccup on that first straight, but what amazing first straight to have a bit of a hiccup and still go into that first turn in first.
Yeah, he's looking strong for sure. Heat number 5, Rosa, Marquardt, Demont, Aguirre, Fila, DuPont, and Brandon Tioga. This is a pretty evenly matched moto here, Jason.
And to make a break for Tioga because he went down that first moto. So now, see, he was in an 8-man moto and went down, and now he's in a 7-man moto, so there's a bit of a gift there, less people to filter through, but nonetheless, he definitely wants to make up for that 8th place finish because otherwise he's going to go home after this lap.
Yeah, definitely. You know, he needs a good finish here if he wants to, like we said earlier, have a chance going into that next round. Same with Fala. I mean, Fala had a 5th place finish in that first round. He's looking to improve and it looks like the Swiss, it was a Switzerland jersey out in front, as well as a couple of Australia jerseys. See the difference there between jumping and staying on the ground? The Australian was in second and dropped back to 4th because he didn't jump down that second straightaway. It looks like Tioga was in 3rd and had some trouble there. He's going to get past, but defends the line. Elbows out, Jason.
Tioga cuts off his countryman for the 3rd. Follow with a good start. Looks like he's dropping back. Tioga up to 2nd. Marquardt is just checking out.
He's gone.
In 1st with a nice run. He'll take it all the way to the line.
Impressive.
Tioga with a impressive comeback, fought for that, was looking like at a 4th, and now he's getting a 2nd. But it looks like a 3-way photo with Tioga, Fala, and the other Australian. I didn't catch that name. They went across the line so fast. We're waiting for the official. I know Tioga's hoping for that 2nd. His work's still going to be cut out for him that 3rd round.
But he's got a chance.
But he's got a chance now. And that's, you know, at the end of the day with athletics,
that's all you can ask for.
You just want a chance.
Just get me in the gate with a chance.
Give me a shot, coach. Give me the ball, coach. I know I can do it, coach. Or I know I could do it. Marquardt, Tioga with the 2nd. Fala, Rosso, Demont, Aguirre, and DuPont. I know Fala will be pleased with that as well.
Yeah, he's got a chance.
With a 5th and a 3rd, so 8 points, just under the bubble position for qualification. Next round, Heat 6, we have Harvey, Webster, Komarov with the power, Vade, Van Gent, Bensink, and Gronendal. This is a tough moto, and I would call it what we would call in the 90s a meathead moto. A lot of strong guys in this moto.
Yeah, I'm looking for Van Gent. You know, he's got the experience. He's won World Cups. He's been in the Olympic final back in 2012. You know, he's got to be the favorite. And he won his first moto, but you can see here, it looks like he picked lane 6. You know, that dog leg on the first straightaway coming into play here. 3 Dutchies as well, it looks like in 6, 7, and 8. Gate is down, and Van Gent and Komarov out with a great start, but it looks like Van Gent with that Red Bull helmet, he's going to get into that first turn in front, and his fellow countryman Bensink going to jump right around Komarov into the 2 spot. The German challenging the Russian for the 3rd position, but it looks like Bensink might even challenge his countryman Van Gent for the lead, but settles in for the 2, Jason.
Yeah, Van Gent came out of there nice. Komarov was challenging him a bit down the first straight, but just a little bit unstable on the track, as we saw in the 3rd straight. He's going to dive for 2nd and then try to push out the Dutch rider. Van Gent saying, I don't care what you do because I just won this moto. So it's going to be Van Gent, Bensink, Komarov, and Webster. Vidi, Harvey, and Van Gronendahl. Not a good lap for Van Gronendahl.
No, but that Twan is looking strong with a couple of wins here. And he's going to be looking, he was in the main event last weekend, and we are getting ready for an interview. Van Gent, there you have the confirmation. Van Gent, Bensink, Komarov, Webster, Vidi, Harvey, and Van de Gronendahl. We've got Twan down at the finish line, and we're going to go to Pete Dylweski, who is with Twan Van Gent, who the winner of that last moto.
So, Twan, you had a good lap there. Talk us through your run here, 2nd round of motos.
Well, yeah, I definitely had a good gate, and halfway down the first straight, the wind picked up, so obviously I didn't jump the triple into the first turn. But at the end, I could follow my lap pretty how I wanted it. The wind's coming up and down, but it's okay, you can race it.
So as we move on and advance through the racing, what should the fans and spectators be on the lookout for when you riders getting in the gate together?
Oh, well, definitely down the first straight and some turn action here because it's pretty wide open, and yeah, you get a small mistake is pretty easy here, especially down the 3rd straight. So a lot of passing they can expect.
All right, good luck for the rest of the day.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Always nice to have a conversation with some of our best in the sport. Next, rack, run 2, heat 7, Logan Collins, Agudelo, Villegas, Van Kamen, Mir, Kieman, and Inkoksong. This is a tough moto. Mir's going to be looking to do some damage. Van Kamen looking strong. Collins looking strong as well.
He had a bad first lap. He's going to be looking to...
yes, he came out of his pedals last lap.
Yeah, so he needs a good finish here if he wants to have a chance to move on in the program. As well as the Argentinian, Villegas. I mean, he's a strong guy as well.
Yeah, I wouldn't be too happy if this were my moto.
You could look at it that way, or you could be excited about the challenge, It's up to you. It's all belief systems.
That's right.
That's right, Jason. Collins, though, he believes in himself. He's out in front right now on that Speedco ride. But Villegas is going to jump. See the difference there between jumping and staying low. But Van Kamen with a great high-low move, and Villegas coming up short. That's going to be the difference. Collins had a bit of trouble and had to roll through that section. Van Kamen, the young American, and Villegas.
Van Kamen looking good. Collins should have shut Villegas down in the first corner. He was too nice and ran out of momentum and then cased the jump and had to shut down. Van Kamen says, all right, well, I'll show you how it's done. Van Kamen, Villegas, and looks like Keeman's fighting for the 4th, but for the 3rd even. So Van Kamen, Villegas, Keeman, and Agudelo. Definitely a tough moto, a lot of shaking up. Mir.
What's going on with that? I wonder what's going on with Amadou.
Not quite himself, I don't think, since the Olympics.
And I can speak just from experience. I mean, it's hard after the Olympics to kind of come back and do this. Whether you were excited or disappointed, it can be hard to get back in the gate. And there you go. We've got confirmation. Van Kamen looking strong. Villegas, Kimmon he's alive. He's got a chance. Agudelo, Mir, Inkoksong, and Collins. So Collins, he won that first one. So he's sitting on 8 points here. So he's got a chance in that 3rd round. And our start list for heat number 8, we've got Kriegers, Homsch, Van Gorkum, Shippers, Sean Gain, Arboleda, Theo Chappelle, and Damien Lacombe. It's another stacked one here, Jay Rich. I mean, we're at a World Cup, so every moto is going to be hard. There's no such thing as an easy moto here.
And none of them are easy. And for me, it's all about the matchups.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's just you get better matchups than others, and that's based on experience and riding style, how somebody comes out of gate. Sometimes, a person always goes left and they're in your way, but
and you got to pick differently because of that. So here we go, getting ready to gate to drop. I'm looking for Shawnee Gain out of the middle on the box ride, but it looks like the Colombian are on the outside as well as the young Latvian on the inside are going to take it into the turn 1 and 2. It's going to be Arboleda Kriegers and Arboleda 1-2. Shawnee Gain in the 3 spot. That Latvian national champion jersey flying strong right now into turn number 2, Jason.
Yeah, Kriegers, Arboleda, and Gain. Gain was out okay, but got shut down. He seems to be pretty strong in that third position, but Mini Machine in front, Krieger's in front.
Trouble for Van Gorkum.
Arbodella, I don't know what happened to Van Gorkum. He's not going to be happy with that. Gain with a little style on the finish line. So Krieger's, Arbodella, Gain, Chappelle. What happened to Van Gorkum?
You know, Jason, I mean, he just won a silver medal a couple of weeks ago. I mean, it's hard to get back.
Cut him some slack.
It's hard to get back in that gate and have that motivation. You know, I mean, all these young guys are so hungry and they want to prove themselves, and they're looking excited for this opportunity. As we have our confirmation, that's Krieger's, Arboleda, Gain, Chappelle, Shippers, Homsch, Lacombe, and Van Gorkum.
Although I wouldn't be surprised to see Van Gorkum in the main.
No, I mean, he won or got second, I think, in his first round, so he's still alive, and you know, he's got experience. You know, he's going to come back in this third round and he's going to handle his business.
Yeah,
I look to see him. I have no doubt that we'll see him in the gate tomorrow for the main event.
So we're
waiting on the start list of the next round of motos.
Yeah,
some good racing. This track is awesome, man.
It's been some good racing, and
we're sounds like we're going to go to an interview here down at the finish line with Pete Dylweski. Looks like he's got the young Latvian, Kriegers.
All right, go.
Okay, so a good lap for you there. Talk us through it.
Yeah, had a decent start. Got a bit squirrely on the second straight and third straight, but yeah, it's all right.
What's it going to take for you to advance through today and then have a good run at the race here tomorrow?
I guess if I can ride like this, then it will be all right.
All right, well, we look forward to it.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
There you have it. You heard from the man himself, Christian Krieger's start list for heat number 9. Fantoni, Christensen, Palmer, Maniton, Whitfield, McRory, Rios, and Zuleta. You know, James Palmer in the main event last weekend, he's looking to prove that was no fluke, as well as Christensen, who had a bit of a bull ride his last lap around. He still got the second place, but he was a bit all over the place. He's a skilled bike rider, though. He's a Red Bull bike rider, so I look for him to correct some of those mistakes this time around. Maniton as well with a strong second last round. So as far as matchups go, Jason, we know you love the matchups. This is a pretty interesting matchup here.
What I would call an eclectic group of riders.
It really is. A lot of Instagram videos between Palmer and Whitfield here. I mean, this is going to be a good one.
Well, Instagram videos don't win races, though.
McRory with a strong start in the outside, but it looks like he got a bit weird. It looks like Maniton as well as Christensen are going to be out 1 and 2. Let's see who's going to push it into that first turn. Curtis Maniton fishtailing a bit into that first turn. He is in and out. Christensen in the 2. Palmer on that Yes bike in the 3rd position. Whitfield having a bit of trouble, but hanging on to the 4.
Yeah, Whitfield looked like he was out okay, then backed off a little on that first turn. Palmer said, okay, if you're going to do that, I'll just go ahead and take this 3rd place position. Manualing like
tricks.
4 or 5 of them into the
Put it on
straight.
Instagram.
Maniton, Christensen, Palmer. That was Instagram worthy from Palmer, those manuals. Nice, consistent laps. We have Maniton, Christensen, Palmer, and Whitfield holds on for the 4th. Fantoni and Rios will have to go to the photos to see who got 5th and 6th.
Yeah, good racing there. James Palmer, one of the most skilled guys out there, and he's really been developing his first straight power. And so he's one of those young guys coming up looking to prove himself. There you have the confirmation that it's Maniton, Christensen, Palmer, Whitfield, Fantoni, Rios, Zuleta, and McRory. Trouble for Kyle McRory. I mean, a couple of bad laps. It looks to me like he might be out. And doing,
and he's such a journeyman of the sport, just really doing it the hard way, puts in a lot of hard work. But next run, Heat 10, Smith, Baez, Sakakibara, Shippers, Bernhardt, Borja, Cesar, Messner, and Pacheco Diaz.
I got to say, Jason, if there is an award for the most fun name to say, I think we'd give it to Sakakibara.
It's the best ever to say. Sakakibara.
Jeremy Smith, he's been impressive last week as well as in that first round today. He's an Ohio native, so doing it. I think he's living in Southern California now, or maybe he's back in Ohio, but you know, he's looking to continue to prove that, you know, his past couple of events are no fluke. Gate down. Jeremy Smith, he popped up a bit out of the gate, and Sakakibara is going to take advantage of that one and get that Australia jersey out in front. Jumping into that first turn, looking really smooth with Smith sliding into the 2 spot there for the Extreme team. Up and over the second straight, Sakakibara and Smith, Jason, in control of this one.
Yeah, you know, I really liked how Smith was patient and calm because he didn't have a great start, and he just waited and got in that second place position filed in. Sakakibara is like, you might you can keep second because I'm taking first. Shut Smith down the third straight, but it looks like a nice clean lap from our top two, Sakakibara, Smith, with Bernhardt and Bias third and fourth respectively.
Yeah, the Kiwi Bias in for the fourth spot there. But yeah, that third straight, Jason, I think that one is going to be one to keep an eye on. Lots of passing. It looks almost as if it goes a bit uphill and then back downhill there. And Smith was challenging there, as you see the final confirmation. Sakakibara, Smith, Barnhart, Bias, Shippers, Messner, Borja, and Pacheco. But yeah, I think going into the races, I mean, especially in the time trials, I think that third straight's key.
Yeah, the third straight's going to be wild, and I know, and it is also a headwind. There's a headwind down the first and third straight, which I know affects the women. And here we have Stavo, Walsh, Sakakibara, woman, and Fleming and Reno. So that must be interesting to watch your brother race and then have to get in the gate.
Oh yeah.
You know, he's gonna, if he does good, he sets the pace, and if not, then you might be a little.
I mean, it'd be, I don't know how you can,
she's focused on herself.
That'd be a tough one. I mean, look at like Barry Nobles and Caroline Nobles, I guess we can call her now, and Sam and Elise. It had to be hard to watch the person, your girlfriend race right before you're supposed to race. It's got to be tough, man.
Yeah. So especially if something happens, God forbid. But these ladies, these women are focused on the task at hand.
It looks like the Aussie Sakakibara, back-to-back Sakakibara motos. Look at that, up and over the second jump. Amelia Walsh, the Canadian, sliding in there for the 2 spot, and Shailene Reno in for the 3. A lot of the times the difference here in the girls is who can jump those jumps is smoothest, and that's usually who's going to take the lead.
Yeah, Sakakibara and Walsh, they were able to get through those jumps smoothly, extend themselves, get good backside. Stavo and Reno seem to have a battle for third and fourth. Neither of them will get. Walsh diving under Sakakibara, saying, "I will take that. Thank you very much." She just got the book. It's all BS, by the way, last week, so I'm not surprised she went for the first place.
Yeah, shameless plug
Walsh,
there.
Sakakibara, and Reno, top 3.
Walsh had a fourth first round, so she needed that.
Yes, she needed that. And
she was calculating points as she went down that third straightaway there, as you see the confirmation.
So official Walsh, Sakakibara, Reno, Stavo, and Fleming. I know Reno's happy with that third, improving upon last race's score.
Yep. Start list here for the women, Heat 2, run number 2. Afremova, Smolders, Escobar, Thorley, and Jones. Now I think it's worthwhile to note that both Rachel Jones and Thorley were unable to make it over the first 2 jumps last time around.
Yeah, and Jones shut it down out of the gate last moto, so I'm interested to see what happens here.
She's chosen 8 here, so she's going to have nobody, able to get in her way here. So she's got kind of her own lane there. So it'll be interesting to see if she's able to get up and over those jumps this time around. Gates coming down, and looks like Jones is going to give him a crack this time. She's up and over 1, but it looks like only 3 of them are going to get over 2 of them. It looks like the Russian as well as Smolders are going to go into the turn 1 and 2. Afremova with the whole shot, and Smolders, that is Meryl Smolders, not to be confused with older sister Laura, into the 2nd spot, and the Colombian in the 3rd, that is Escobar.
Yeah, it looks like the Afremova Smolders show this lap. Escobar in a somewhat of a distant 3rd, but she did manage to get over those first 2 jumps down the first straight and was rewarded handsomely. We have Afremova and Smolders with Escobar in 3rd, jumping down the last straight even. Afremova, Smolders, Escobar, and for the 4th we have Thorley. Rachel Jones having a tough day today at the office.
Yeah, I mean, no BMXer is able to have a good day every day. I mean, just like with anything, they're good and they're bad. There is the confirmation there. You got Afremova, Smolders, Escobar, Thorley, Jones, and Astudillo for run number 2, heat number 2 of the women. Moving forward, we've got heat number 3 of the elite women. Curtis Shriver, Priest, Giving, and Azuero. Shout out to Bethany Shriver's family back home, making sure we knew how to pronounce that name.
Yes, the Godfather sent us an email saying, hey, we love the coverage, but you might want to say Shriver instead of Shriver, so we do appreciate that. Thank you.
Yep. So we're looking. She's been really strong.
She's been very impressive, actually. So I'm glad we know how to say her name correctly.
Yeah, we're going to be saying it a lot this weekend, I think.
I think for her career.
Gate is down on the final run of round number 2. Even at the first jump, we've got all 5 girls up and over. That's what we like to see here in the commentator's booth. And speak of the devil, that is Schriever out in front on the Team GB with Giving. The Floridian on the pink bike into the 2 spot. Looking impressive this round, jumping through that section there with Priest in the 3, Jason.
Yeah, I think Schriever is very comfortable on the jumps. Geving is getting her feet back as an elite level racer. So every lap she's going to get better. And Priest definitely needing this 3rd place, possibly even better after last moto's finished. So I know she'll be happy with the top 3, but she's getting contested by the Australian. But right now we have Schriever, Geving, and Priest just beating out Curtis and Azuero.
And I'm keeping an eye there. And all these women's motos, they've had 40-second lap times, Jason. So that fitness is going to be important this weekend as we see our confirmation there with Schriever, Giving, Priest, Curtis, Azuero, and Buccelli. But 40 seconds, that's a long lap.
That's a long time on a BMX track.
Oh, yeah, those legs are going to be burned and come out of that last turn for sure.
And that being said, I would say the women work harder to get around this track than the men do. So it's more of a physical demand on them to get around this track, especially if you're not jumping all the jumps.
You know, and something that people at home, you know, if you've never raced, you might not really know is that oftentimes with, just so you guys know, racing is going to continue at 4:35 p.m. local time here in Florida. But the most tiring tracks, Jason, aren't the ones where you pedal the most. They're the ones where you have to go over the most jumps. And that 3rd straight is packed full of jumps.
Yeah, it's like doing a bunch of leg presses over and over again down that 3rd straight.
Up and down, and you're doing push-ups, and yeah, it's tough. So fitness is going to be, especially with this heat as well.
That's right.
Going to see some cramps.
Well, we're looking forward to 3rd moto. We will join everybody back at 4:35. Until then, we'll see you.
Yeah, we'll see you at 4:35. Don't miss it. Heartbreak round coming up.
That's it.
Okay, we're here with Amanda Giving, one of the superstars of Florida BMX. 17 years of racing, now just an hour outside your home. You're here at the Supercross World Cup. How's this experience going for you? You've done the World Cups in the past, but now we're here in your home state.
I love it. It's really cool being able to compete in front of the home crowd. They changed the criteria a little bit with qualifying motos. I think that's great. And it's really good to be back racing with all these young girls.
So you've seen a lot of different changes in BMX over all those years. What's the most impressive thing you're noticing this weekend here in Sarasota for the Supercross?
The up-and-coming young girls, the juniors and everything, you know, it's really cool to see them step the game up, you know, getting over these big jumps down the first front straight and coming through. You know, it's just really good to see the progression of the young girls coming up.
Well, I know we're impressed by yourself riding consistently, and looks like better as you get older. What's your secret?
I'm just having a great time. You know, I'm out here. I still love riding my bike, and I think that's the most important thing, you know. Working full-time is kind of keeps my mind on that, and then coming out here, it's just extracurricular, having a good time.
Well, thanks so much. We are impressed for what you do on the track and off the track as well.
Thank you so much.
Alright, so cool having a chat to Amanda Giving, and good to hear her enjoying it, being back on the BMX and having a whole lot of fun. Well done. Coach of Team USA, Jamie Stoff, and Olympian himself, and let's have a check and see what Pete Dylweski and Jamie have to say.
So we're here with Jamie Staff at the finish line, Team Director for USA Cycling BMX. Jamie, after a successful Olympics, how could things get better? Wait, we have the World Cup finals here in the United States, and we have one of the men from the United States up for the title. How has this season been such a dream for you?
Well, it's not always a dream. Obviously, we have our ups and downs. Connor breaking his wrist in March in Manchester was a huge blow. But as it turned out, I think it actually helped him. He was able to kind of take a back step, really build up, and thank God his wrist was about as good as it could have been for the Olympics. So he was able to go in super fresh. And a lot of these guys, people don't realize, the build up to the Olympics it's long, and it lasts a good 2 or 3 years, and there's a lot of pressure, a lot of stress, and you're kind of going from one event to the next. You've got world championships, everyone's trying to qualify through their nation and just get to the Olympics. That, at the end of the day, that kind of seems to be the goal, is just to get there. But Connor was kind of able to take a step back, take a big breath, and so going into the games he was just super fresh and in a great mindset. So these guys are still, and again, like Corbin's leading the series, and, we hope he does well here this weekend, but he's had a long season too. So, BMX is, it's a long season, and I've been there and done it myself. And, so I take my hat off to these guys, and I think we all should, really appreciate the effort that goes into performing at this level for that amount of time.
So now we switch gears to the progression of BMX, especially in the United States. So now we have the Olympic gold medalist, maybe possibly the World Cup overall title. But there's 6 BMX Supercross tracks in the U.S. It's the most by far. How are we continuing with the progression for not just USA BMX, but the sport as well, with all the growth of these new Supercross tracks?
Yeah, it definitely helps having the tracks in our home nation. Obviously, if you go way back, say 8 years ago, with Beijing, there was only a couple of tracks in the world, and we were very fortunate to have one of those. So that definitely gave the US riders an advantage. Now, that advantage has been kind of taken away, I guess, and there's tracks all around the world, which is great for the sport. We get to travel around the world and race at different events, and it's brilliant. But yeah, we've got a lot of tracks in our home ground, and USA BMX as well. They have a domestic Supercross series, and again, that's just helping advance our guys. At the end of the day, there's nothing stopping foreigners coming over and racing those rounds too, but we've definitely have more riders at those events, and I think they're going to help, again, just develop the sport. And it's just amazing to see where the sport has gotten to. 20 years ago when I was racing, I would have been extremely scared to go around something like this. But it's beautiful just to see where the sport's got to, and all these cities as well, like the city of Sarasota. Thank you for the investment into this facility. It's fantastic. There's lots of cities around the country that are putting huge investments into building courses like this. So long gone is the day where your mum and dad and a few volunteers build a BMX track. We're getting awesome tracks like this, which is just great for the sport.
All right, well, thanks so much, Jamie, for pushing that progression along with UCI World Cup and USA BMX, as well as all the other people around the world building these Supercross tracks.
Thanks, Pete.
Riders ready, watch the game.
Alrighty, let's start making your way back into the grandstands. Get your seatbelts on, people. We're coming hot with the third run here this afternoon. This is the third and final round of the qualifications, elite men and elite women. 10 motors in the men's, 3 motors in the ladies. They'll go through to the top 24 ladies tomorrow, the top 64 men tomorrow for the finals here in the 5th and final round of the 2016 UCI BMX Supercross World Cup. Don't forget, straight after the motos, we're going to a bit of a break, and then we'll get the elites, the top 8 women, the top 16 men in the world's current rankings here in Sarasota. They'll get onto the track for a little bit of a practice, and then we'll go straight into the time trial super final. Universal Insurance, $1,000 up for grabs for your leading male and female athletes here this afternoon.
Hot. We are hot in Sarasota. October.
Yeah.
It's October, but it feels like August. It's very warm here.
Hurricane Matthew is long gone.
Hurricane Matthew was but a distant memory, if at all, because it missed us here, and it is warm and humid, and the riding is just as hot.
What do we have on tap next, Jason?
Well, we have round 3, as you stated before, the Heartbreak Go round. This is where some riders will find out if they get to go to the big show tomorrow night, or if they are transferring to the truck.
And this is the last World Cup of the season.
Looks like we have a GoPro lap. Rock and Roll Cole Tizar is our GoPro rider for the day, going to give us a lap. How about you take us around the track, Connor?
Yeah, he's coming down the 8-meter hill and on the red Florida clay. The first 2 doubles there, up and over that triple. You know, jumping that triple is going to be key here this weekend if you want to get into that main event. Second straightaway, we've got the Razorback step up there, and then this section here has got a few different options and lines going through it there, which is going to come to play in the time trials. And then this third straightaway, this thing's technical, Jason. I mean, lots of big jumps, long manuals. You know, by the time you get to this last turn, you're going to be a bit tired. You're going to be a bit out of breath. Straightaway, a couple more jumps here, and onto the finish straightaway. I mean, good classic racetrack.
Yeah, it looked like even Rock and Roll Cole got a little tired down that last straight, almost going off the track. But we do appreciate those GoPro laps. Thank you, Rock and Roll Cole. Right now, run 3, heat number 1, Kriegers, Tehiko, Wolk, Bias, Whitfield, Palominos, and Munera. Whitfield and Tehiko on the bubble. Looks like they're going to definitely need a top 3 to qualify on. I think Whitfield might even need a top 2.
Yeah, and Kriegers is pretty safe. He's got a couple of good laps. But yeah, Whitfield, Tehiko, those guys are 2 guys that we've got our eyes on that definitely need a solid finish here if they want to go on it tomorrow. And with this being the last World Cup, you don't have another race until next year.
Definitely a long wait, but not as they head down the hill right now, with Kriegers going straight to the front. Whitfield looking like he's in 4th, and Tehiko in 2nd. Case is into the first turn, but that's okay. Still maintains his position. Whitfield going for a dive, does not work. Stays in 4th, now goes back to 5th. Kriegers going into the 2nd turn in 1st, with Tehiko in 2nd. Yeah,
the young Latvian, he's really impressive here today. You know, he's dominated these 3 motos. Tehiko in 2nd. That should be enough to get him on through. And looks like the Kiwi, jumping by, that is Michael Bias into the third spot. You know, we're going to keep an eye on his points. Whitfield is going to go in there for the 4. So we won't get confirmation on who's in and who's out until after this run. So for a lot of these guys, they're going to have to kind of wait and watch the rest of these motos.
Yeah, so what happens is the races are scrambles. We see Kriegers, Tahiko, Bias, and Whitfield, Palominos, Wolken, Munir. But yes, these all riders, all the heats are scrambled. So some riders might have to wait until the very last round to see who did what and in which lap to find out if they've qualified through for tomorrow's show. In this lap, we have Bernhardt, Sinma, Rosa, Holmes, Calixto, Montenegro, and McLean for run 3, heat number 2.
Yeah, and you know, the easiest way to guarantee you're in is to do what Christopher Kriegers did right there. Just win all your laps, and you got nothing to sweat on. You know, somebody like Whitfield, you know, he's going to have to wait until the end of these rounds and wait and see that confirmation of who's in and who's out. So that's definitely not a fun place to be as we get ready for run 3. This is heat number 2.
Clean start as we're looking at the Argentinian and the Australian battle to the first turn. Looks like the Australian's going to take it to the front. Rosa, Montenegro, and McLean. We have an Australian sandwich with our Argentinian in the middle. A little bit of a wild ride into the second corner. Connor, what was going on?
I don't think that was intentional, but it was the most impressive thing I have seen all day. Riding the back wheel over that entire section is young Aussie. I think it might have been Homsch. Don't quote me on that. Wow. I hope we see that on Instagram later. But Rosa's going to clean that moto up. Montenegro, McLean, and Homsch. 1, 2, 3, and 4. I wish we could. I want to see a replay of that.
We could press rewind, but we're just announcing. But it was amazing watching the young Australian basically ride his back wheel down the whole second straight. Official for that lap, we have Rosa, Montenegro, McLean, Homsch, and Bernhardt for heat number 2.
And I think it's also interesting to mention that the tiebreaker, if people are on the same points, is the lap time.
Good to know.
Yes.
Good to know, because in some time, because it used to be that it was the overall points. In this round, we have Marquardt, Agudelo, Rios, Gonzalez, Van Gorkum, Villegas, and Messner. And as we know, Van Gorkum did not have a good lap last time around, so this is going to be
he's sitting on 8-9 points.
His lap.
So he needs top 3 finish to guarantee him passage into tomorrow's main event, you know, into those 1/8 rounds. So the Dutchman, he's in gate, it looks like gate 5 there. Keep an eye on him.
Gates down. Looks like a clean start from everyone. Van Gorkum out okay. Looks like he's going to stick his nose to the front. Calm, cool, and collected. Not panicking. A lot of riders might have shut down when it gets that tight, but not Jelly Van Gorkum. He's looking quite nice hopping into that second corner in front with the Argentinian in second.
Yeah, and I mean, he wasn't in the Olympic final and didn't bring home an Olympic medal, you know, for no reason. I mean, he's an incredible BMX racer, and, you know, no surprise there that he took care of business and handled what he needed to do. Nice high-low there out of Villegas. These two look to be smooth, and they'll be on their way to the motos tomorrow with the Swiss rider, that is Marquardt, in for the 3rd spot.
Yeah, that was a kind of what I would say an undercover difficult moto. Those top 3 guys are heavy hitters for sure.
No such thing as undercover, man. These motos are all hard. We're at a World Cup, man. These are the best guys in the world.
That's true. What I meant by that was that there'd be no surprise to see those 3 in the main.
Yeah, definitely. Looks like we've had some riders possibly go down or up and across the finish line. Good to see everybody okay as we wait on our confirmation there and get ready for our next round. But yeah, lots of good race action going on.
So official for run 3, heat 3, Van Gorkum, Villegas, Marquardt, Gonzalez, Rios, Agudelo, and Messner. Messner, unfortunately, had a mishap there and had to cross the line in 7th, so he will be not going on. But heat number 4, Fantoni, Gain, Maniton, Ezekiel, DuPont, Van Gent, and Bensink.
Another hard moto. I mean, lots of guys here have already won races. Gain, Maniton, Van Gent, Bensink, all looking strong. Ezekiel, the Brazilian, young Brazilian, he's been in the top 2 positions here in these few motos. So, you know, but there's 7 guys here. They can't all get top 2 finishes.
No, somebody will go through, and unfortunately others will not. They all know what they signed up for, that's for sure. Van Gent looking strong all day down the first straight, as well as Gain. So it'll be interesting to see Gain and Van Gent go down the first straightaway, who's got the horsepower? My guess would be Van Gent would come out strongly and still lead to the first turn, but Sean Gain, junior world champion back in the day, I wouldn't be surprised if he comes through with a top 2 or 3.
And Gain's sitting on 3-4 points right now, so he knows he just has to have a smart lap and move on in the program tomorrow. Van Gent, just so powerful out of the gate. I mean, if you've seen his Instagram, he is one strong dude up and over that triple into the first turn. Looks like Maniton GB in the 2 spot with the Dutch rider making a move on him. Gain in the 4 into the second turn, Jason.
Yeah, and Instagram's truth. So Van Gent backing up what he posts definitely looks like he's looking for 3 bullets. Gaining some speed down that third straight, going from 4th to 3rd. Looks like we have the 2 Dutchmen first, second, with Gain lunging to the line.
And now did you see how Van Gent,
Maniton for 4th?
You see how Van Gent as well as Gain are pedaling all the way to the line there. That's gate position for tomorrow.
That's right. 3rd lap count. So just because you know you've qualified on doesn't mean you want to just hang out and check out. You want to take it all the way to the line so that you can ensure the best lane pick for tomorrow's big show.
And it's hard to know what's the best one here with the way this first straight is, but it gives you the options.
Yeah, that's interesting because not many people would notice what you did about the first straight. Official for that lap, Van Gent, Bensink, Gain, Maniton, Fantoni, Ezekiel, and DuPont. As for who moves on to the next round,
those top 4 are
I would say
safe.
the next 4 would be safe to say the next 4, but again, our calls are not official. Run 3, Heat 5, Van Kamen looking impressive, Aguirre, Zuleta, McCrory, Gustafson, Seegers, and Collins.
Yeah.
Collins is kind of, this is on him to get in.
He needs it. And then McRory, he's got 2 subpar finishes, so, I call this one the pride lap. He probably can't move on, but he wants to go out, put his best foot forward.
It's always good to get your money's worth and get the experience, for sure.
That's right. Collins picking lane 8. He doesn't want any interruption down this front straightaway, so let's see if it works for him. Yeah,
looks like Collins is out nicely, but the question is, can he get over Van Kamen meeting him in the first turn, but Collins is actually shutting the door this time, so that's nice. Collins in first, Van Kamen still hunting him down. I don't think Van Kamen cares really what Collins needs. He's going to go for it, and I think... Oh, Collins shutting the door again. So Collins, Van Kamen, they may be countrymen, but they might not be teammates this lap. Collins wanting to get that good lane choice and, more importantly, just qualify to the next round. We have Collins, Van Kamen, and McCrory. Sorry, I got so excited, Connor, I didn't even let you speak.
No, it's all good. You did a great job.
You get the whole next lap.
Well, Logan Collins, he did what he had to do. The back was against the wall. He needed to deliver, and he got it done, Jason. And that proves that he deserves to be in that show tomorrow as you get our official results. Collins and Van Kamen looking impressive today. McRory finishing with that 3rd. He can hold his head high. USA top 4 with Gustafson in the 4th spot there, doing it for the home country. As we see our start list, we've got In Kong Song from Thailand, White, GB, Tizar, Rock and Roll Cole, Chappelle, Borja, and Roos.
Connor, I'm going to let you get this whole lap because I stole one for you, but I'm interested to see Trey White and Tizar go at it down the first straight on this one.
Couple of big engines, and they're lined up right side by side in the gate there with Trey White. Looks like Trey's in 4 and Rock and Roll Cole is in 5. So it'll be interesting to see if that inside line, comes into play, or possibly the outside line, as we wait for the start. And the gate is down. Looks like Trey White, he's got experience. He's been on a World Championships podium before, so he is no joke. And he's up and over the triple into the first turn, and Rock and Roll Cole into the 2 spot. And that's one of those things, we can watch some of these qualification motos and certain riders will look good, and then you put them next to some of the top guys in the world, and that's where they really get to see, just how fast they're going. But, Cole is keeping right up there with Trey White, which is a strong, impressive ride for the young American. Trey White taking care of business, though, doing what he has to do to get across that finish line, extending it there, looking for that gate selection. Trey White, Cole Tizar, and Theo Chappelle, 1, 2, and 3 in that moto there. Trey White, I know he wants to end the year on a high note. He's looking to get into that main event tomorrow.
Yeah, definitely looking to get in the high note. And I think we were joking between rounds. I said, keep that back wheel up because he had a little bit of trouble casing the jumps.
Yep.
I said, jump like Schriever. Jump like Schriever. Anyways, so we have White, Tizar, and Chappelle. Chappelle making it to the show. Borja, Inghok Song. Inghoksam may have to go back to Thailand a bit earlier. Next round, Hughes, Peebles, Kronk, Vidi, Shippers, Keeman, and Green. Keeman has had an up and down day, I would say.
Yeah, brother Neek back home, he's always watching. He's always watching that BMX. He's a big fan just of the sport, as well as one of the best riders out here. So, I'm sure he was sending Justin some words of encouragement before this round, and hopefully Justin can make something happen. A lot of talent there. One of those Dutch Army guys as we wait for the starters call.
Red means race, and they are off.
Peebles.
They are off. Peebles with a nice start, still hunting. Back end kicks out a little bit, but he's going to go for the first place anyway.
Yep.
Kicks out in the first. Peebles is known to be aggressive at home in California, and he is definitely taking it to the front, which is very impressive. Peebles, Vidi, and Kronk. This is I was about to say somewhat new territory for him, and unfortunately he goes down in that third straightaway. Hopefully he's okay. Vidi manages to stay up, with Keeman taking the early Christmas gift for the second place, which will probably move him on. And
We'll
Shippers with the third.
Wow, I hope
Hughes
those guys are okay.
for the
Big
fourth.
crash
Yeah,
there.
big crash. It looks like Peebles. It is hot out there. Palms are sweaty. It looks like maybe Peebles'
checking
hands
on him.
slipped off in that rhythm. You were saying that it is deep and technical through there. And,
Yeah.
And unfortunately, that's really unfortunate because Peebles was looking probably the best he's looked all season in these rounds.
Yeah, and we know Mama Peebles is back home watching, so hopefully Jake's all right, and we'll try to get you guys some updates whenever we can. But we're just going to check on him now. It's a unfortunate side of BMX, but they've got a medical team here to check up on him.
Yeah, so official for that round, Vidi, Kim, and Shippers, Hughes, Green, Kronk, and Peebles. They are checking on Peebles right now. No one likes to see anyone go down. We have a great medical crew here. The best. They work a lot of big events, action sports events, so making sure these riders are all checked out and okay. And as we see his girlfriend there, fiance. She has his helmet. Looks like. Oh, okay. So another thing that is interesting too, as the riders being checked out, is it slows the flow of the race. So if you're sitting up on that hill waiting, Connor, how's that?
Yeah, it's hard, because it's something you're not expecting, and at the end of the day, I mean, we are all competitors, but we're all part of the same sort of community and fraternity, and nobody likes to see anybody go down. And when you're lined up in that starting line and there's a guy out down on the track, it's hard not to think about that guy, whether you know him or maybe not, because you just hope the best for him. So, I'm sure those guys up on the hill they're trying to focus on their race they've got coming up, but they're sending some positive vibes Jake's way.
Yeah, and it's also interesting too, even for your own race. You get into a flow. You get used to being in staging. You get used to getting in the gate a certain way, being behind the gate a certain way. The time that it takes before your next race. And so sometimes when a rider goes down, even when they are not hurt, but that extra pause in the action, sometimes it breaks up your internal flow, your mental flow, so to speak. So,
but you know what? At the end of the day, that's something you have to be prepared for.
That's right.
You can't just show up and expect everything is going to go exactly how you expect it to go.
Exactly.
I mean, you got to be ready for curveballs and of any sort, whether it's weather, whether it's a delay, whether it's track condition, whether it's you start off the day with a bad lap. You got to be able to come back, and that's what the champions of our sport can do. Is it looks like they're gonna assist Jake off of the track, and if we can get any updates, we will.
Updates would be great, and just so those watching at home, a lot of times they it's not as bad as it looks. A lot of times, as a precaution, they take the riders, they assist the riders off the track.
Yeah.
So we all hope the best for him. All the officials sweeping the track, making sure everything is tip-top for the next riders to go around. UCI officials checking the clipboard, making sure everything is in the proper place, getting people where they need to be. As we are live, the BMX Supercross World Cup in Sarasota, Florida, USA.
Awesome event overall, Jason. The vibe out here is great for those of you at home. They've got live music, they've got food trucks, they've got a coffee stand. I mean, they really did a good job, organizing this event.
How good is that coffee?
It's not as good as my Monster Energy drink, but it's all right.
Well, I don't know about that, but I know that it was a good cup. It was a good cuppa. It was one of the better cups of coffee I've had at a BMX event, stateside for sure.
Yep.
So as we look at the view on the hill, you can see just how big that hill really is as you see the starter leaning against the pro gate, taking in some rays. That's 8 meters. So that is roughly works out to about how many stories high?
Probably about 3.5. I mean, it's high up there. Anybody who's never been up there, if you ever get a chance, I'd always recommend people go stand up where the gate is because, everybody I've talked to who's gone and done that, they have a whole new appreciation and respect. When you go up and you look down and you see how steep it is and you see how high up you are, it's definitely an eye-opening moment. And I may be biased, but I got to think that we are some of the most BMXers are some of the most incredible athletes in the world.
I'm biased as well, and I agree. I think getting on top of that hill, it's one of those things. I used to joke when I raced that even if it's not windy, it feels windy up there.
Yeah, I mean, just at the Olympic Games, a bit of insight. When we're walking around the village, everybody hears we're BMXers and goes, "Whoa, you guys are crazy!"
Yeah.
As we get ready for heat number 8 here, we've got a couple more heats of the guys. Fala, Shippers, Sakakibara, Booty, Mercader, Webster, Pacheco, and Marin. It looks like Marin picked lane 8 here, Jason.
Yeah, that's an interesting choice because he's actually had some good qualification positioning up until now. So,
the good thing about being in lane 8 is no one can cut you off.
No one can cut you off unless you're Terry Tennant and he plays your windshield wiper. He'll go 8. He'll go 8, then go back over to 7.
Terry T. Third person Terry as the gate goes down. It is Marin out of 8, looking impressive. He was in a qualification spot in the quarterfinals last weekend. Overjumped a bit there, but whoa, losing Fala in the first turn. But yeah, Marin, I mean, he's been the story of the last couple of weeks. I look for him to really contest to get into that 8-man main event this weekend. Sakakibara, the young Australian, in the 2, but really just commanding lead out in front. And
Marin, maybe picking 8 was just kind of just a vote of confidence for himself.
Yeah.
I'm interested to see what he does when he gets to a final, and it's only a matter of time, and maybe it'll be this race. But Marin, Sakakibara, and Mercader, I believe, in 3rd. And the 4th, that would be a lunge by Webster, just beating out Shippers from the Netherlands.
Yeah, Marin, impressive, really impressive.
Yeah, winning from lane 8 is definitely one of the more difficult things a person can do at a BMX race.
Yeah,
it's just a longer distance to the inside of that first turn, and
double dice.
Double dice. I don't know if that's a thing anymore, but there was a time when if you won from lane 8, that you would get double the money.
You don't get the money anymore, but you know what you get is a whole lot of respect.
You get the respect and the ego boost for sure.
Yep.
So filming the track, we had a rider go down. I believe that will follow down in the first turn. That's got to be disappointing for him. He was looking like he was in a qualifying position. So just waiting for the last rider to clear out. We have a Swiss rider just making his way off the track. That's Booty, Cedric Booty, one of the younger riders. So definitely, he definitely, hopefully, will have learned something from this experience here. As we look to the next round, as those riders get locked and loaded under the Red Bull tents on top of the hill, we have Fala coming around the second straight. Again, they want to finish these laps because you never really know what the final qualifications points will be. But right now we have Marin, the official, from Heat 8, Marin, Sakakibara, Mercader, Webster, Shippers, Pacheco, Booty, and Fala, as we just saw him making his way around the track. As we look to
heartbreak
the top,
round, man.
The third round is a heartbreak round. It's unfortunately, but every rider goes through a bit of heartbreak. That's what makes those wins so good at the end of the day. So, Heat 9, Harvey, Palmer, Sebesta, Smith, Webster, Tanager, McConey, and DeMont. Full gate. It'll be interesting to see what Sebesta, Smith, and Harvey do in this wrap.
And don't forget about Palmer, man. He was in the main event last weekend.
That's right. Palmer, he keeps, he's
inside. He's in lane 2.
Yes. One of the better track riders as well.
Yep.
Lights go, gate goes down, they go charging down the hill. Looks like Sebesta straight to the front. Palmer stuck on the inside and next to Smith. But Palmer,
move.
Nice move, staying calm, cool, collected, pops right into second. Smith might be in a little bit of trouble, but Sebesta is checking out. He seems to be comfortable on the red clay here in Sarasota.
Yeah, Tanner's looking good, Jason. I mean, that's 3 for 3 there if he can hold on for this lap. I mean, that's pretty impressive. Palmer's going to leave that inside open, shuts it at the last minute there. The young German Webster trying to get by, and Jeremy Smith is well throwing his name. Big mad dash for that second position there. Sebesta's going to hang on to it. They're looking real strong going into tomorrow with Palmer, Smith, Webster, 1, 2, 3, and 4. Tanner Sebesta, he's been in a couple of semis and a couple of quarters. He has yet to make his first World Cup final, and I know he would like to do that here. Making that first one, that's a big accomplishment when you can get that. And there you have our confirmation. That is Tanner Sebesta, Palmer, Smith, Webster, Harvey, McConey, Tanager, and DeMont. Yeah, I mean, Jason, you know how it is. That it's just that first breakthrough, making that first final can be huge. And there's another gate of guys. I mean, someone like Amadou Mir, he's done it before. But guys like Arboleda, Christensen, Rojas, Komarov, Lacombe, Vanden Grunendahl, and Fleming, they're all looking to throw their name into the hat as well.
Yeah, and sometimes all it takes is just one final, and then you keep making them. Just like sometimes all it takes is just one win. Even regardless of how you get in the final, regardless of how you get that win, sometimes that's all it takes, and then it just it does something to the mindset. Then you start to build that belief that, hey, I could do this more often, and I expect this of myself, and I want to do this. So. Elite men are off. Lemcombe, not the best start. The big guy gets spit out the back, but looks like Komarov with the power into the first turn. Little bit of a quirky riding style. Not many of the riders like to ride two next to him because you never know what he's quite going to do. That carbon fiber rim. Got the Colombian in second as they hop into the second corner.
Yeah, Komarov, the Russian, I mean, he's one of the strongest guys out there, especially out of the gate. A little bit of trouble there, getting a bit sideways, getting a bit yik-yacked on that third straightaway. The Colombian looking to make a move. I mean, you always got to watch the inside when you got a Colombian behind you. They are great on the track and really good at passing. Mir looks like is going to cruise in for that third. I'm not sure if that's enough to get him in. Christensen with the 4, he should be safe, but we're going to have to wait until the final results.
Is yik-yak a technical BMX term?
You know, we can coin it. We can make it
I think
technical.
You just coined it.
Yeah, Komarov, yik-yak with the win. Arboleda, Mir, Christensen, Vanden Grunendahl, Lacombe, Rojas, and Fleming. So that'll be it for the men, Jason. What did you see there? I mean,
well, I see that Mir. Well, I see we have the women coming up already. Yep. So Heat 1, Curtis, Smolders, Geving, Azuero, and Escobar. But I did talk to someone from France, and they said that Mir was actually having trouble seeing out there, seeing the lips on the track. So that's why he kind of looked hot and cold each lap.
If he is on to tomorrow, we'll have to get him some sunglasses.
Some kind of the correct lenses. But Heat 1, Curtis, Smolders, Geving, Azuero.
There's Jerry Mania. I getting the photos, bmxmania.com.
Yes.
Check it out.
Yes. For all the latest as they're up on the gate, looking poised and ready. We have the Australian on the inside lane.
And I'm looking for that bright pink bike at Geving.
Geving looks like she was out to a good start. Looked lacking a little bit at the bottom of the hill, but definitely getting more comfortable. All of the women get over that first and second jump. Looked like a little bit of elbows thrown by the Australian in the first turn, but not enough to keep Smolders from that second place position. Meanwhile, in front, we have Azuero in front with Smolders and then Curtis.
Yeah, this is what we like to see, Jason. All 5 girls, every girl in the gate getting through that whole first straight, keeps the racing tight, keeps it nice and close. As all three riders into the last turn. are battling. It looks like Smolder's making a push to get the win, but the young Ecuadorian looks like is going to hang on to that. That is Azuero, Smolders, Curtis. Amanda Giving with the fourth. We'll have to wait for the final
that was a
to see if...
surprising lap. Azuero training with Tony Hoffman.
Yeah.
I know she's been putting in the work, and she might have needed that first place. So the official for that lap was Azuero, Smolders, Curtis, Geving, and Escobar. I believe Geving is pretty much in. I think she had a second and third the first.
We'll have to wait until we get the
rounds,
final confirmation.
But definitely that mixed things up results-wise. Next round, Heat 2, Run 3, Reno, Priest, Sakakibara. Big gap on the gate. Stavo, Rachel Jones, and Thorley. Interesting choice of lanes. We have 3 and 3, with lanes 4 and 5 going unwomaned, so to speak.
Yeah, and Jones went over the first jump that last one, so hopefully she can get over the second one this time. The Brazilian, she's always a good jumper, Stavo. Keep an eye on her, but Sakakibara, second place last weekend, Jason. She's no joke.
Yeah, Sakakibara definitely puts in work for sure. Gates off. Looks like Stavo not the best start. Looks like on the outside, the Australian doesn't quite get over the second jump. Stavo stuck with her. We have Sakakibara and Priest coming through now. Stavo in third, but Sakakibara and Priest 1 and 2 as they head into the second corner with a battle for third and fourth.
Yeah, and then out of that second corner, the young Australian, Sakakibara, she's really trying to make a name for herself here on this World Cup circuit. Priest, the German national championship sleeve hanging on the left sleeve there, you can see, signifying her status as national champion, with Tyler Thorley doing it for Lucky Bling, cruising in for the third position. Looks like Sakakibara's got no issues. She is smooth and on to tomorrow's racing, Jason, where she's going to be trying to get back into that main event.
Yeah, she definitely got a taste of that podium.
Oh yeah,
hopefully she didn't get spoiled too soon.
You know, that first one is the easiest one to get, because after that, anything short of it is, you know, you just expect to be on that podium.
Yeah, yeah. So official, Sakakibara, Priest, Thorley, Stavo, Jones, and Reno. Jones and Reno having a tough third round. Jones having a tough day. Reno having a tough third round. So we'll see if that will allow her to squeak by.
Only 4 of them.
Heat 3, Run 3, Afremova, Shriver, Fleming, and Walsh. Walsh looking strong. Shriver acing it over all of these jumps down the first straight. So only 4 of these women in this lap. It doesn't mean that they all will go through. However, it could affect the other women transferring in the other 2 previous
Walsh
laps.
has an entire side of the track to herself there.
Yes.
Out of lane 8.
All by herself coming out of lane 8. Doesn't get over the first jump that great. So now we just have Shriver and we have Afremova and Shriver 1 and 2 with
bit of a
third
one-on-one.
and fourth. You're killing me, Connor. You're killing me, Connor. It looks like a one-on-one race. There's 2 races.
Yeah.
Race for first and second, and then a race for third and fourth. Afremova and Shriver, and looks like the camera is loving these 2 as they go at it down the third straight.
Oh, bit of trouble there out of Shriver. She's bonked a little bit, but lucky enough for her, she's got about a 100-meter lead on the rider in third, so she's going to hang on. Worm burn in the last straightaway. The young Russian, Afremova, going to be taking the win there. Shriver for the 2, Walsh for the 3. We'll have to see if that is enough to get the Canadian through to tomorrow. And that is it for our qualification rounds, Jason.
That is it. And
as we see our...
So the official is Afremova, Shriver, Walsh, Fleming, Astudio, and Buccelli not making it up to the gate. Hopefully they are okay. They may have taken a small crash in practice or had a mechanical error. But other than that, great racing, and I think what we saw in that last moto was just a testament to how demanding the track is, because I think it got quite so. Elite men qualification, the people moving on: Van Gett, Kriegers, White, Sebesta, Marin, Tizar, Van Kamen, and Komarov. They will be going on to tomorrow's show.
And they'll be meeting up with the top 16 ranked riders that are here.
Correct. Viegas, Palmer, Sakakibara, Bensink, Maniton, Smith, Rosa, and Arboleda, they will be going on. as well as Gain, Marquardt, Christensen, Logan Collins got in there. Montenegro, Calixto, Chappelle made it to the show, and Viti as well going on to tomorrow's big show with Hughes, Kronk, Ezekiel, Seegers, Shippers, Van Gorkum, Tehiko, Bias.
Looks like the cut's going to be 12, 13 points, Jason.
Yeah.
We have McLean, Fantoni, Webster, Bernhardt, Kenny G, Wolk, Justin Kimmin, and Kyle Green. And your last 8 guys moving on to tomorrow. Ami Dumir, he's alive. We can get him some sunglasses. Tyler Whitfield, Harvey Agudelo, Shippers, Homsch, Bernard, and Webster on 15.15 is getting you in today.
Yeah, 48 guiders go through.
Yeah.
It's amazing they had to run all 3 motos to figure that out.
Yeah. I look for Amadou to come back stronger tomorrow. He's gonna be a factor tomorrow.
I think he needed to get his feet back, get his feet wet again, get in there. But those are the motos here at the UCI BMX Supercross World Cup Sarasota. So stay tuned.
We got time trials.
We have time trials. The last time trial final. I wish you were in it.
Someone give me a bike.
I wish you were in it.
Pete, where's Pete? I need a chase.
You're still protected. You can go quick sign up, but then we'd have to cut one of the 48 guys off the list.
There's some money on the line today, so I'm looking for this to be exciting.
This will be a great time trial event. We are excited about it. I believe 5:45 p.m. So go get your snacks, get your popcorn, get your drink, whatever it is. Get comfy because you're about to see some blazing laps from the world's best BMX racers here in Sarasota.
I'm excited.
Florida.